Welcome back to my YouTube channel, where we dive into the wildest and most fascinating corners of the coin collecting universe. Today, you're about to hear a story that will blow your mind, a tale that stretches the imagination and takes us deep into the world of rare coins, secret collectors, government intrigue, and a coin that shattered all expectations. This isn't just any coin. We're talking about the 1983 D1 cent coin, and how it came to be known as the most valuable penny ever sold, an unbelievable $419 million. Yes, you heard that right. One tiny copper coin that once had the value of just a cent turned into a financial legend unlike anything the numismatic world has ever seen. It all started in the dusty recesses of a Colorado estate sale, where a young woman named Clara James had inherited a modest collection of coins from her late grandfather. He had been a humble postman, nothing particularly remarkable about his life on the surface. But hidden among the pages of a dog-eared album of wheat pennies, clad nickels, and state quarters was a single 1983 D Lincoln cent that would go on to ignite a firestorm in the global collector's market. Clara didn't know what she had found at first. It looked like any other penny, maybe a bit shinier, a little more pristine than most, but nothing that screamed legendary value. Until, of course, she took it to a local coin shop for appraisal. The owner of the shop, an elderly gentleman named Harold Simmons, had been in the business for over 40 years. When Clara placed the coin in his gloved hand, he went pale. He looked at it for a long moment, brought out a magnifying glass, examined the edges, the lettering, the strike quality. He asked her where she got it, if she was sure it hadn't been altered. She told him it was from her grandfather's collection, passed down to her as part of his belongings. Harold asked if he could keep it overnight for further analysis. Reluctantly, Clara agreed, not knowing this single decision would set off a chain of events that would attract billionaires, historians, federal agents, and even a royal family. Harold stayed up all night cross-referencing mint records, anomaly reports, and consulting with a secretive online forum of elite coin experts. The deeper he looked, the more anomalies he found. The coin had characteristics that defied known minting standards. It was struck in bronze, not zinc-plated steel like most 1983 D cents. Its weight was slightly off, and its die alignment was perfect beyond factory standards. What caught his eye most was a microscopic double die error on the word Liberty, an anomaly so rare that it had only been rumored to exist among numismatists. There were whispers of a batch of experimental coins struck at the Denver Mint in 1983 during a brief period of transition between metal compositions. Those coins were never meant to reach the public. They were ordered to be destroyed. But somehow, this one had survived. The next morning, Harold returned the coin to Clara with a solemn tone. He told her what he had discovered and recommended she consult with a higher authority, someone who dealt with historical rarities. He gave her the name of a mysterious figure known in the coin world as Victor Langston, a private dealer who only handled items that defied logic and fetched prices that most people could never dream of. Victor lived in seclusion in Switzerland and was known to have the ear of collectors so wealthy they made tech billionaires look frugal. Clara was skeptical, but curiosity outweighed caution. She booked a flight to Geneva, coin carefully sealed in a protective case in her carry-on. When she met Victor, he examined the coin for nearly an hour in total silence. His compound was nestled in the Alps, secured by more technology than a national treasury. After the long inspection, he simply said, "You have no idea what you possess." He explained that this particular 1983 D cent was believed to be part of a secret run of only 7 coins ever struck in solid bronze that year, coins created by a rogue engraver who was testing old die sets in a forbidden experiment. 6 of those coins had been seized by the government when the test was discovered, and those were believed to have been melted. But Victor had long suspected that one might have escaped. Clara's coin, according to Victor, had the potential to break every record ever set for numismatic value. He offered her $31 million on the spot. She declined, stunned by the number but unsure what to do next. Victor told her that the coin's auction could change the way the world viewed coins forever. If marketed correctly and authenticated by the International Numismatic Tribunal, a clandestine body of elite evaluators, the coin could fetch unimaginable sums. He arranged for her to meet with them in Prague under tight security. No phones, no photos, no trace. The tribunal took 3 weeks to analyze the coin, comparing it to government records, testing its metallurgy, scanning its surface with atomic microscopes. The results were shocking. Not only was the coin confirmed to be genuine, but it also contained traces of a unique alloy that hadn't been used in U.S. coins since World War II. It even bore a chemical fingerprint linking it to a storage facility in the Denver Mint that had burned down in 1984 under mysterious circumstances. That incident had been dismissed as an accident, but rumors had long suggested it was a cover-up of illegal minting activities by insiders. With this revelation, Clara was thrust into the global spotlight. Media outlets fought to secure interviews. Auction houses began a bidding war before the coin was even officially listed. The U.S. Mint issued a statement denying any knowledge of the coin's origin, but privately launched an investigation into retired Mint employees. One former worker confessed under questioning that he had heard whispers about a rogue batch being smuggled out by a janitor who had a side business selling scrap metal. That janitor, it turned out, was Clara's grandfather. As the truth began to unravel, the story captivated the world. The coin was scheduled for auction at the ultra-exclusive Aurum event in Monaco, a once-a-decade affair where only the world's richest collectors were allowed entry. The guest list included oil magnates, tech tycoons, royal heirs, and even a reclusive Japanese billionaire known for buying entire historic artifacts at once. Security was tighter than a presidential summit. The coin was escorted by a private military detail, encased in a bulletproof, temperature-controlled pod. When the bidding began, the room was silent. The opening offer was $50 million. Within minutes, it had jumped to $100 million. Then $200 million. 2 bidders emerged as frontrunners, a Saudi prince with a private museum in the desert, and a tech mogul from Singapore who had recently acquired a rare minting press from the 1800s. The bidding reached a fever pitch at $400 million, when the Saudi prince raised the stakes to $419 million and included a handwritten note, "For history, not profit." The room erupted in applause. Clara, stunned and emotional, accepted the bid. The gavel fell, and history was made. The 1983 cent had become the most expensive coin ever sold in human history. The auction broke records not just in numismatics but in the entire collectible world. It surpassed prices paid for Da Vinci sketches, lost Monet paintings, and even spacecraft memorabilia. Clara became an instant celebrity. She donated a portion of her newfound fortune to historical preservation societies and used the rest to launch a foundation promoting the study of numismatics in schools. Her grandfather's story became the subject of documentaries, books, and even a dramatic series, but the story didn't end there. Months later, whispers began to circulate about another 1983 bronze cent surfacing in Argentina, found in the wreckage of an old warehouse. And then another in a safety deposit box in Berlin. Suddenly, the number of surviving coins wasn't just 1, it might be 3, or even more. The U.S. government reopened its investigation. Numismatic circles buzzed with theories. Was there a secret ring within the Denver Mint? Had these coins been distributed intentionally by a shadow network? Clara was once again drawn into the spotlight, but this time as a consultant, helping authenticate the newfound coins and ensure their legitimacy. Each time a new coin surfaced, its value skyrocketed. The original 1983 cent remained the king of them all, holding its record price, but the legend had grown. Coin collecting had gone from a niche hobby to an international obsession. Millions of people began checking their loose change, hoping to find a fortune hiding in plain sight, and through it all, Clara remained humble, reminding the world that sometimes, the smallest things hold the greatest value, not just in money, but in history, mystery, and legacy. The story of the 1983 1-cent coin wasn't just about big money. It was about the intricate, often invisible web that connects everyday objects to the most extraordinary chapters of human experience. The kind of story that starts with a penny and ends in a place no one could have imagined, and now, whenever someone hears about the 1983 D cent, they don't just think of a coin. They think of a saga that reshaped a market, unmasked secrets, and gave one ordinary family an extraordinary legacy. Stay tuned, because in the world of rare coins, anything, absolutely anything, is possible. Next, 2015 D1 cent USA coin, where once again we take you into the depths of numismatic legend, mystery, and money so staggering that it turns even the humblest coin into a ticket to unimaginable wealth. In today's story, we unravel the astonishing tale of a coin so unlikely, so seemingly ordinary, and yet so historically explosive that it changed the fate of an entire family and ignited one of the largest bidding wars the world has ever seen. This is the true and surreal journey of the 2015 D1 cent coin, a penny struck in Denver that would go on to be valued at a mind-melting $341 million. Yes, that's not a slip of the tongue, $341 million, for a coin most people would step over on a sidewalk without a second glance. It all began not in a museum or a treasure vault but inside the drawer of a rusted tool cabinet in a forgotten workshop on the outskirts of Amarillo, Texas. The workshop had once belonged to a man named Curtis Elroy, a retired machinist who had lived a quiet life, working with his hands and spending his free hours tinkering with old motors and mechanical clocks. Curtis passed away in 2021 at the age of 93, leaving behind no children, no close family, and no one to claim his belongings except a distant cousin named Avery. She had never met Curtis before but received a letter from the state informing her of a small inheritance left to her, a piece of land, a few personal items, and a decrepit workshop nobody had entered in years. Avery wasn't expecting much. In fact, she nearly gave up the property without looking inside. But on a whim, she decided to visit. The land was dry and barren, with the wind slicing through the open plains, and the workshop was leaning slightly to the left like it was about to collapse. Inside, she found dust-covered shelves, yellowed notebooks filled with technical sketches, and hundreds of metal containers filled with screws, bolts, and loose change. One such container caught her eye, a red Folgers coffee tin marked, "Spare Change, Keep." Inside were a few handfuls of coins, most of them tarnished and unremarkable. But one coin gleamed oddly against the light, a 2015 D Lincoln cent, perfectly clean, strikingly sharp in its detail, and almost unnaturally bright. Avery thought nothing of it at first. But she liked the look of it and decided to keep it as a souvenir. It wasn't until weeks later, when she showed it to her friend Caleb, an amateur coin collector and history teacher, that things took a drastic turn. Caleb stared at the coin with growing disbelief. He asked to borrow it for the weekend to compare it against his collection and take some photos under a microscope. The following Monday, he showed up at her doorstep pale and breathless. What he had discovered made the hair on his arms stand up. This coin wasn't just any 2015 D penny, it was something entirely different. Something the world wasn't supposed to know existed. The first anomaly was its composition. Every 2015 D penny should have been made with a core of 99.2% zinc coated in a thin layer of copper. But this coin was heavier than normal, and when he tested it with a handheld analyzer, it revealed a high concentration of a rare alloy not used in coinage since the early 1940s. Caleb couldn't make sense of it. Moreover, the coin showed signs of being double-struck, an error so rare it immediately boosts a coin's value tenfold, but this double strike was flawless, artistic even, as though it had been intentional. Not knowing where to turn, Caleb posted a photo of the coin in an elite online forum dedicated to coin anomalies and mint errors. Within hours, the post was flooded with comments. Some accused him of faking it. Others demanded more proof. But a few recognized something deeper. One user named CoinGhost7 sent a private message offering a six-figure sum if they agreed to sell it without asking any more questions. Alarmed but intrigued, Avery and Caleb decided to reach out to a professional numismatic investigator based in Chicago named Lucia Dermott. Lucia had a reputation for uncovering historic fakes and authenticating legendary finds. She agreed to fly out and examine the coin. Lucia didn't say much when she first examined it, just long silences and quiet whistles as she peered through her tools. She ran a Gauss meter over the coin and then placed it in a special scanner designed to reveal hidden layers. What she found made her sit back in her chair, visibly shaken. The coin had microscopic etchings on its surface, symbols not visible to the naked eye, including what appeared to be the initials, JHR, inside the curve of Lincoln's collar. These weren't just the marks of a mint worker. They were signatures of someone deeply embedded in a secret program initiated in 2015, one that was meant to create untraceable currency for a private U.S. intelligence initiative. Lucia shared with them the rumors she'd heard years earlier, of an off-the-books government project tasked with embedding encrypted messages into seemingly ordinary coins. The coins, it was said, would be distributed as part of a covert communication system in case of national breakdowns. The existence of such coins was denied by every federal agency, but Lucia had once examined a 2006 nickel rumored to be part of the same project. That coin had disappeared shortly after its discovery. She warned Avery and Caleb that the coin might bring more attention than they were ready for, but it was already too late. Word had spread. Unbeknownst to them, a representative of an anonymous European collector had already traced the forum post and was en route to Texas. This collector, known only by the pseudonym The Owl, had a reputation for acquiring national secrets, historical oddities, and items deemed too dangerous to be in public hands. He made a formal offer through Lucia, $78 million for the coin, no questions asked, to be delivered discreetly and with total confidentiality. But something about the situation felt off. Avery declined. 2 days later, the workshop was broken into. Nothing was stolen, but everything had been turned over, drawers dumped, crates smashed, papers shredded. Avery reported the incident to local authorities, but there was little they could do. Lucia insisted the coin be moved to a secure location. She arranged for it to be sent to a private facility in New York for deep analysis. The results of that investigation changed everything. The coin wasn't just an experiment or a mint error. It was part of a classified printing run conducted by a shadow unit within the Denver Mint. These coins, only 27 of them, had been embedded with nanotechnology, microscopic chips that could be activated remotely. Each chip contained encrypted data and tracking signatures from multiple intelligence agencies. This revelation sent shockwaves through underground circles. The existence of a government-run currency surveillance system hidden in plain sight was a conspiracy come true. International buyers came forward. Bids flew in. A Middle Eastern business magnate offered $120 million. A Silicon Valley tycoon offered $175 million and a 5% stake in his company. A reclusive German royal family offered an entire castle in Bavaria plus $200 million in gold. But then came the real shocker, an offer from a consortium of former intelligence operatives turned private security magnates who were willing to go to $341 million, with the condition that the coin be sealed away forever in a vault under the Swiss Alps. Avery was stunned. She hadn't even known her cousin Curtis. Now she was being pulled into international intrigue and massive wealth over a penny that most people wouldn't have noticed in a change tray. She took time to consider, meeting with security experts, historians, and legal advisors. Eventually, she accepted the offer, not just for the money, but because she feared what would happen if the coin fell into the wrong hands. The deal was completed in total secrecy. The coin was transported by military-grade vehicles under decoy cover, placed in a vault built into the side of a mountain, guarded by biometric locks and a team of ex-special forces. In the months that followed, Avery used her new wealth to start a foundation in Curtis's name, focusing on education, historical preservation, and engineering scholarships. But even with all the security and secrecy, rumors continued to circulate. Some claimed the coin was a key to unlocking hidden digital vaults used during Black Ops missions. Others said it was a decoy for something far more dangerous, a test for a currency that could track global movement in real time. The theories never stopped, and Avery learned to live with the constant whisper of curiosity around her. Years later, a reporter for a financial history journal tracked Avery down and asked her if she believed the coin was worth all the attention, the stress, and the danger. She smiled and said, "It wasn't about the money. It was about knowing that something so small could hold so much power. And so the legend of the 2015 D1 cent coin endures, not just as a symbol of immense financial value, but as a mysterious artifact from a forgotten chapter in American intelligence history. A penny that should have never existed. A coin that proved the most ordinary object could become the most extraordinary secret. In a world filled with billion-dollar companies, royal treasures, and technological marvels, sometimes it's still the smallest things that carry the biggest stories. Stay tuned, because in this world of numismatics and legend, this isn't the end. It's only the beginning.